How my friend Matt Lederer and I came to leave for O'Hare Airport in our Jim McMahon jerseys. I'm not sure what I expected. A Learjet with a dozen North Side business types, perhaps, or a DC-3 filled with a football-loving Boy Scout troop. We instead found ourselves seated in a tired L-1011 with a Kodiak bear painted on the tail, the rows packed with a few hundred fans of the cartoon variety. Huge beer-swilling Southsiders with the sort of mustaches that suggest virility. Every one of them wore either a team jersey or the type of Bears sweater vest favored by Coach Mike Ditka. The seats were as stuffed as the knishes at Manny's Deli near Maxwell Street. Beers were distributed, Mickey's, Budweiser, Schlitz, and the nasal voices rang with, "We're gonna murder 'em," guarantees. It was 4 p.m., and some of these men had been drinking for 6 hours. The flight attendants, in orange and blue aprons, got us seated for takeoff, but the big fat men started unbuckling soon after. They wandered in the aisles, slurring and prophesying. One made his way to the lavatory as the plane was in steep ascent. It was like watching a ball roll up Mount Everest. A stewardess ordered him back to his seat. "Lady," he said, "I'm full of sausage and beer. It's out of the way or a big mess." Footballs were taken out of bags and spirals went zipping across the cabin. Several people were hit in the head mid-sentence or mid-beer. A punt banged off an emergency door handle. I envisioned the headline: "Beery Bears fans sucked to tragic doom." Free-for-all gave way to pandemonium. 300 Chicagoans blowing off decades of frustration. It was beautiful and terrifying. The pilot issued a warning. When this was ignored, he came out of his cockpit in the stern way of a parent, but was driven back by a shower of empties. The rabble were led by a handful of guys from Bridgeport and Pullman. If you could morph their faces into a single face, it would be big and pink and filled with mischievous joy. They stood through the landing and sang as we touched down. Some fell in the aisles. If this were England, these would have been hooligans. But these were Chicagoans, too good-natured to plunder. As I exited the plane, I was not surprised to see the cops. A flight attendant whispered in the ear of a sergeant, pointing out the instigators, who were taken aside and cuffed. The last image I had of these men was enormous backs, heaving with exertion, in Ditka and Butkus jerseys as they were led away. It burned into my retinas. To travel all the way to Jerusalem, only to be taken into custody on the steps of the temple. As a result, I approached the game through a veil of tears. The tears of drunken superfans arrested days before the coin toss. The arrested men never left my thoughts. I admired their commitment. They had come to express the nature of their city but never made it to baggage claim. They spent days in jail, the poor bastards. Who were they? The unknown tailgaters and bratwurst eaters, the mustache combers, the last of the old-timers, the aluminum siding boys, the bungalow dwellers, the masses from the back of the yards, the pub rats and union goons. These were the real fans. They'd put in the years and suffered the humiliations and packed on the pounds and cursed the fates in a way that I never could, coming from a cozy North Shore suburb on the lake, Glencoe, if you're keeping score at home. The '85 Bears developed a special bond with all their fans, but most powerfully, with the sort I had seen taken away. It was not just that they won. They went 15-1 in the regular season. But how they did it. With personality. Style. This was the team of the Super Bowl Shuffle, a song released earlier that season by several of the players. It expressed their confidence in ultimate victory, and it was made of characters. Like the Beatles, there was a bear for every sort of fan. Jim McMahon, the punky QB, for the cocky daredevils. Walter Payton, sweetness, the great running back, for the aficionados. William Perry, the fridge, the gap-toothed 325-pounder.